Right now, I'm just taking you all in because you look so amazing, a lot lately I've been thinking about what it means to truly receive love, because I've been receiving a lot of love lately, and I actually don't fully know how to sometimes. I really don't, and so I'm just trying to take it all in right now. I've often said that trans people loving and supporting each other is a revolutionary act. I want to acknowledge Jen Richards and Tony Dorsey, who had the vision to bring this list to life. And I think we should thank all the co-sponsors and all the volunteers who made this night possible. Let's make some noise for all of them. I can't help but think tonight about the revolutionary action of trans people loving and supporting each other. We know, because of the legacy of people like Gloria Allen and people like Miss Major and Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson, that we've been doing this for a very long time. We've been loving and supporting each other in a world that tells us that we should not exist. And I wonder, well, what gets in the way? I've been thinking a lot about what gets in the way of this revolution taking hold in a bigger way. And I think about this expression, hurt people, hurt people. Yes, you know it, hurt people, hurt people. And so I can't help but think about the ways in which systemic oppression keep us from each other. How that oppression keeps us from loving and supporting each other. Mary Pfeiffer writes that social change is a million individual acts of kindness. And cultural change, the paradigm shifting kind, is a million subversive acts of resistance. And I often wonder, how do we get to those millions and millions and millions of subversive acts of resistance? And how do we get more of our community loving and supporting each other? And I think about a young person I met in Charleston, South Carolina last year on Spirit Day. I had the pleasure of witnessing and meeting some members of an organization in Charleston, South Carolina called We Are Family. Do we know We Are Family in Charleston, South Carolina? They're an amazing youth organization, and basically the youth set all of the programming, and the adults just basically provide the resources. I love that model, right? So the people who need the services are setting the agenda, and then the adults are just providing resources. That's good, right? That's good. And there's an amazing person, amazing young person that I met that day who goes by the name of Davy Rahuja. Now, a lot of you probably may not know Davy, and Davy spoke on Spirit Day, and Davy's words have stayed with me since last October. And Davy talked about existing at the intersections of multiple identities and being Southern-born and of Indian ancestry. And Davy identifies as, get ready for this, Davy identifies as a fat, hairy, brown, femme, trans-masculine, queer-bodied magic pony. I'm gonna say it one more time because I live for Davy Rahuja. A fat, hairy, brown, femme, trans-masculine, queer-bodied magic pony. And Davy was brilliant. He's a brilliant young writer and thinker. And in Davy's remarks, Davy talked about, now Davy you should know, or maybe not, I don't know, but I'll tell you. Davy was assigned female at birth, and during puberty, Davy's beard started to grow in ferociously and wouldn't stop. And Davy talked about a lot of instances of violence around trying to get rid of that beard and around their journey of acceptance towards who they were in their body that defied labels. And in their remarks, Davy talked about being an inheritor of cultural trauma. Davy said, I am an inheritor of cultural trauma. I am both a survivor and have been a perpetrator of cultural violence. And when I heard Davy say that, I was so excited by it because it reminded me. It reminded me that each and every one of us has the capacity to be an oppressor. No matter how many multiple oppressions and identities that we might exist in various intersections, we all have the capacity to be an oppressor. New Orleans, Louisiana, earlier this year, and I got to meet the youth in an organization called Breakout. Do we know Breakout in New Orleans? And Breakout started a couple of years ago, and these LGBTQ youth of color in New Orleans started this organization as a response to the pervasive criminalizing and policing of LGBTQ youth of color, particularly trans women of color in New Orleans. Now the brilliant actress Gabrielle Sidibe talked about recently on the Arsenio Hall show. We know about this moment, I hope some of us, where she talked about being in New Orleans, working on a film and witnessing multiple moments of trans women being arrested by the police. Now she used some language that she understands now is problematic for some people, but I think that's an important moment because she witnessed the criminalization and profiling of so many trans people in New Orleans that is happening all over this country. And Breakout started to combat that. And when this youth were giving me a tour of their space, I was so moved by seeing that this particular corner that they called the Healing Justice Corner. Healing Justice, the Healing Justice Corner. Doesn't that just sound good? That sounds amazing. And you know, I always, healing justice. And they started this to acknowledge, as so many social justice organizations around the country have acknowledged, that we have to, that oppression hurts, that discrimination is deeply, deeply painful, and so many of us are inheritors of trauma around that oppression. And so they have this space of healing where they can acknowledge where they are that day and acknowledge the pain they might be in. And there's this other expression that I love. You gotta feel it to heal it. The only way is out is through. So we have to feel the pain. We have to feel it to heal it. And so I think that we can maybe look at the example of the youth in New Orleans to think about and begin to imagine how we can create spaces of healing for ourselves so that we can really and truly be there for each other. Now tonight, I am not just celebrating the Trans 100. I am also celebrating the fact that yesterday, our crowdfunding campaign for the documentary Free CC I'm celebrating that yesterday we surpassed our fundraising goal for Free CC. And we know CC McDonald here, right? Yes? We know her story here. And I'm so moved. I was so moved yesterday. I was doing a photo shoot with Kokuma and for Kokuma's upcoming magazine. And I was getting my makeup done, and I found out that we reached our goal, and I started crying. I started crying because, and the reason is because so often trans people are told that our lives don't matter, particularly Black trans women. And tens of thousands of dollars were raised for this woman, CC McDonald, to prove that our lives do matter. Now, it's not just about money. Our lives matter anyway, but it was just so deeply, deeply moving to me. And But when I think about CC and I think about this question of healing and this question of us loving and supporting each other, and many of you have heard me say this before, that I believe that it is love that got CC through 19 months in prison, in a men's prison in St. Cloud, Minnesota. I believe it's love. I believe it's the love that she had for herself, and that she was, because she had so much love for herself, that she was able to love and support all these people on the outside who then gave her that love and support back. It's such an amazing and powerful story. How many of us, in the face of the injustices that CeCe experienced, could radiate the kind of love that young woman does? And so for me, CeCe is a huge source of inspiration around this whole question of us loving and supporting each other and taking the lessons from this evening out into the world for the rest of the year, and taking it into the other parts of the country that we might exist in, and create revolutionary action that can really change our lives, each and every one of our lives, because we know it's fucked up out there for a lot of us, for far too many of us. But nights like tonight give me tremendous amounts of hope. The people I've met all over the country who are doing that work, so many different people in various parts of the country, We Are Family and Break Out, and so many parts of the country are doing the work to love and support each other. And so I encourage each and every one of us tonight to, as we celebrate, to also critically engage with the question of what does it mean for us to fully heal, so we can fully be there for each other. I wish that for each and every one of us in this life. Happy Trans 100. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for having me be here.